Some big shifts are coming to Microsoft's Flight Simulator, and they might change how the world looks and feels in the air. The devs have explained why some regions suddenly look drier or more yellow, and how they're reworking the map so landmarks are easier to find again. They also touched on what's being done to fix those glowing points of interest at night, and behind the scenes performance is getting a real boost too, thanks to major changes in how the sim runs. So yes, there's a lot happening, and some of it's already in testing. Also, a very quick request here, please do subscribe if you haven't done so already. Sometimes some people find themselves unsubscribed from this channel for some reason. It seems to be something YouTube do from time to time without the user's knowledge. So please do have a check just to see if you need to click that button again. Right, so we're going to start with the PlayStation 5, but don't click off this video just yet because there's plenty more coming that you're going to find interesting later on. I just want to get this little snippet out of the way first. On screen right here, you can see the trailer for the PlayStation 5 version of the sim. That is now in beta testing. There's a few videos on YouTube from other YouTubers actually playing through that beta, and just maybe over the next few days I'll get a video uploaded myself. Let me know if that's something you'd like to see. At any rate, we've spoken before about the fact that there's no cross-play between the Xbox and PlayStation 5, and that's because these are two completely different builds. Unfortunately, basically this comes down to the fact that the PlayStation 5 doesn't support Xbox authentication. Xbox Marketplace purchases, PC Marketplace purchases also won't be carrying over to the PlayStation 5, so these are completely separate. Now, for those of you who are VR enthusiasts, you'll be happy to know that this is coming to PSVR2, although not until 2026. That will be an update for later next year. One thing that is coming this year with the launch of the PlayStation 5 version is the Red Bull Air Races. Now, these are not available just yet, even on the PC or console version, but it looks as though they may all be coming at around about the same time. So good news there for those of you who are looking forward to a little bit of racing inside the sim. Now, moving on, we come to some colour issues with the aerial imagery of Flight Sim 2020. This is a little bit of a strange one because what's happened is that the team unified the world so that Flight Sim 2020 and Flight Sim 2024 started sharing the same height field and the same aerial texture. So what you see in 2020 is exactly what you're going to be seeing in 2024. However, there are some issues here, and a given example from the recent developers live stream was that in certain areas have, they used to look lush, green and dark, but now they appear more yellow, and this is because the latest satellite capture was taken later in a dry season. So yeah, that means that some of the areas do have a bit of a mismatch between colour. So they're going to address this, and they've said that once they still have the old textures, after a meeting they've committed to reviewing various different locations, and they've decided that what is better to do here is work through all of these on a case-by-case basis. And look at this! How many of you remember this particular issue? Now, this seems something very similar. This was basically down to a certain water highlighting not effectively being apparent in the 2020 edition of the sim, and Microsoft had to go through and review them on a case-by-case basis and update them over time. So it's kind of looking as though this may be a similar issue now. They say they're going to go through the current texture on the ground on a case-by-case basis and make creative choices, with the art director being involved to deliver what feels more vibrant and more fun. And again, yeah, that seems pretty similar, doesn't it? What do you think? Either way, with the watermasking, they did get it sorted eventually, so I'm pretty confident that we can expect to see this sorted right now. Sticking with the theme of visuals, there's an issue with the world map points of interest visibility in Flight Sim 2024. So what changed? Well, for 2024, they changed the world map to behave like a typical web map. They used city names as location references, and they did this to avoid overloading the map with information, and they reduced the zoom levels here as well, at which points of interest appear. Unfortunately, this made it far harder to see points of interest at a distance compared to how they used to be in the 2020 edition of the sim. So obviously that does affect gameplay, because if it makes things harder to locate, that is a bit of a problem. They've said then that after reviewing the feedback with the team, that they believe they can bring back the points of interest on the main map and then tweak the behaviour to reintroduce what they did in 2020. Another visual related theme is the overbright points of interest, so sticking with points of interest again, There's two issues here. Some POIs are exported as the 2020 packages, and this caused some conflicting problems, I guess you could say it, with 2024. Also, the development team over at Gaia, one of the third parties that help out with certain points of interest, they changed certain lighting values apparently, which then got distributed into many other points of interest. So this is something that's going to have to be fixed over time. They say the fixes are in progress, and also they've got some involvement and help here from the team over at Gaia. They also emphasised that this is unrelated to the new night lighting system that we discussed last week. Right, so visual issues seem to be the theme of the week, don't they? We're going to keep talking about them. We've got another one to discuss right here. This is for Flight Sim 2020. Now, after Sim Update 16 released, a number of users noticed that ground textures looked blurrier. The sim no longer loads the highest detailed aerial imagery, unfortunately, which means that zoom levels above 18 or larger than 512 by 512 texture tiles that previously gave those sharper visuals, they're just not there now. So Microsoft have said that this wasn't an intentional downgrade. They've also stated that the higher zoom levels had just worked before, and something in Sim Update 16's code changed all this unexpectedly and broke the previous behaviour. So yes, this isn't a visual downgrade, at least it's not intended to be. It's something that's going to have to be fixed. But for now, they've said they're still investigating exactly what changed and why. They don't really understand exactly what they broke. So yeah, that could mean it's going to be a little while before we see a fix for this. However, they have confirmed that higher detail streaming is important to both them and the players, so they are going to keep going until they fix this issue, and that will be done in a future update once the problem is fully understood. Okay, now finally I want to talk about the World Hub. So this was used with Flight Sim 2020 and then was paused for a while, and well, let's go into details on exactly what this is all about. So the World Hub is a community airport editing and submission tool that was created by Microsoft and Asobo to let users propose corrections or enhancements to the default airports. And there's many airports throughout the sim, isn't there? Thousands in fact. Now, changes made via World Hub, taxiways, parking, lighting, layout tweaks, all of these things, they're intended to be reviewed and approved and then pushed into the live game to benefit all the users. So as I said, this was first introduced as in Flight Sim 2020, and it was then considered as a way for the community to actively improve the default world, and this did happen. It ran for quite a while. Many airports were edited and submitted and then eventually released. When MFS 2020 was released, along with new aerial imagery and refreshed world data, the team decided to suspend or shut down the World Hub, at least temporarily. So as of right now, the World Hub is not openly available. The project is considered in progress, so it's still coming back, and it's being reworked to align with Flight Sim 2024's architecture and the new datasets. The team has acknowledged there's a need here to synchronise airport data between the two versions of the sim, and that's perhaps been the problem so far. They're going to need to integrate the new imagery and world refresh and then ensure that everything is compatible between the two versions of the sim. So right now, the stated plan is to relaunch the World Hub after the core world data refreshes and the tool is synchronized between the two different versions of the sim. In the recent Q&A, the developers said that they've confirmed that the work is underway here, and that once the world and airport data are unified across both sims, the tool may then reopen. And the reasons for this is pretty obvious. You don't want to be in a position where the airports are different and situated differently in Flight Sim 2024 compared to 2020. Because if the users then go in and propose some changes to one airport, how are you going to synchronize them across both versions of the sim? So this is something that hopefully will be coming back live very soon, because I know they were pushing out quite a lot of updates and changes during that period it was briefly active back before 2024 was available. So there we have it. That's everything going on with the Flight Sim 2020 and Flight Sim 2024 as of today. Thanks for watching this video all the way through. There is another one on the screen if you want to check that out. Do take care, and I'll catch you next time.